There has been a new leak of new commanders coming to Rise of Kingdoms, including Joan of Arc and Jan Zizka. Join me as I break down their skills. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shappy Gaming. Today we are going through the leak of Joan of Arc and Jan Zizka, as well as what their skills are and which commanders I think they are going to be paired with. Now, I will say, just getting it out there, I think this leak is legit. Everything looks legit. All the skills look to make sense and be in line with everything. Even all the text is identical. So if it is not legit, you'll let me know in about a week or two, but I think this is all real. So the first thing that I will call out here is that Joan of Arc and Jan Zizka are not leadership commanders, which personally I'm not too surprised by. I didn't think they were going to be leadership commanders, but I am surprised that they're cavalry commanders because Joan is with the France Civ, and France Civ is technically supposed to be an infantry primary. So this is a nice little change. But Jan is a cavalry and garrison commander, and so we're going to be reading through his skills. But that's a big deal because if Jan is the new cavalry garrison meta, then we've got Jan and Jadwiga maybe? I don't know. We're going to get into it. So with that, let's read through some of Joan of Arc's skills, and I can let you know whether I think she's worth you investing. Now, you may be a little caught off guard just like I am, because typically we have leadership commanders and then we have cavalry commanders, which gives you just a little bit of time to save up some gold heads. But not this time. And so Joan's first skill is that active skill up there, and she deals skill damage to up to 3 targets in a forward-facing fan-shaped area. That makes sense, AoE, but it is an AoE cavalry commander, which I'm always here for. Damage factor of whatever this is based upon her skills. And damage taken by targeted troops reduced by 15% per target. And the commander's troop and 2 surrounding friendly troops also deal more damage for 3 seconds, gaining, a certain amount of rage per second. So this is really nice because we have Joan as a support commander here, as usual. But we also have her dealing ridiculous amounts of skill damage. And so you're seeing 2,000 skill damage there. I think that's mostly unprecedented. I think Nevsky probably deals a little bit more. But that's a ton. And, the friendly buff, that's just bonus. And I do think that if you're running a 5-march set, Joan may be a commander you want in there. Because you've got that buff to your friendly, and if you're swarming that target, woo! Okay, let's look at skill number 2 here. So 100-Year Dawn, passive skill. Cavalry units led by this commander gain a certain amount of attack and a certain amount of march speed outside of Alliance territory. Cavalry units' march speed is increased by even more, and all units deal even more damage. So this is pretty good. This is not a bad second skill. I'm not thrilled that that's cavalry attack instead of cavalry health or cavalry defense, but I do think that we're going to get a little bit of that later on over there, as you can see. And we do have the cavalry march speed bonus, which I think is going to be nice, especially if you're trying to run away. But I don't know if you're really going to want to. So we'll have to see. This is an interesting skill here. I'm curious to see how it all plays out. Skill number 3. If you're not convinced Joan is going to be a good commander, then here you go. Cavalry units led by this commander deal a certain amount of damage when attacking troops. So this is not structures. We've seen this before when attacking troops, this verbiage. It only applies to troops in the field. If you're trying to attack a structure, you will not get this skill. We saw the same thing with Boudica, and this is another reason why I think this is legit, because the verbiage of this is very, very similar. When using skills, troops led by this commander gain a buff that increases normal attack damage dealt by 5%, just about, for 1 second. And this effect can trigger just about every 5 seconds. Oh no, it's 30%. And the damage bonus. This is huge. This is really, really big. And you know who I think you may actually see her being run with here? I would not be surprised if you see Attila with her, because that skill damage is high enough that the 30% reduction is not going to be too significant, I don't think, and you are getting that normal attack damage. But you may end up running her with someone else. Maybe you'd run her with Takeda. She could be a primary. She's got the support tree, so she's going to be good for slowing things down. I don't know. She's kind of looking like a jack of all trades, almost like an Alex for infantry. Next skill here. Cavalry units led by this commander have 10% more health while on the map. And when the secondary commander of their troop uses an active skill, they have a certain percentage, usually 100% here, chance to cast Sacred Banner. This effect can trigger once every 10 seconds. And I believe Sacred Banner's that first skill there. So she's going to be triggering tons of skills there. That's pretty awesome. That's really great. Okay. Troops led by this commander deal 5% more counterattack damage, and when the target troop has more than 30% units remaining, troops led by this commander deal 5% more damage. Joan is a beast. Looking at this setup, Joan is going to be really, really powerful in the field, and I do think you could probably pair her really with anyone. You could put her with Saladin. I do think it's worth maxing her. You could put her with Saladin to give yourself a tanky cavalry march with Saladin primary if you want. You probably could put her with Attila. I mean, the skill damage is so massive that it really won't make much of a difference, kind of like Attila Nevsky. But I would keep her as secondary. I don't know if I would put her as primary. She's got the versatility tree. She does have cavalry and support, but I think, for me, I would probably run her as a secondary. So that takes William out of the playing. You could totally use her with Nevsky. If you're running open field, you could have Nevsky primary and her secondary and just deal tons of skill damage. We'll be looking through those pairings in just a sec. Now, for our good friend Jan Zizka. I don't know the history behind this commander, but he looks like he's going to be pretty good. So we see more commonality here. Again, you see Joan has her primary item right there. It all looks legit to me. I think this is a real leak. So the One-Eyed Knight, Jan Zizka, he deals skill damage to the target troop of a damage factor of up to 2,200. And when this commander's troops have fewer than 50% of units remaining, the skill deals additional skill damage. So that's pretty nice. It's not terribly much additional skill damage, but it does give you a little bit more punch when you're running low on troops, and it does make up for when you're low on troops. I would say this says when you have fewer than 50% of units remaining. I think this will probably give you that punch as if you had 75% of units, but we'll see. Skill number 2, Sword Held High. Cavalry units led by this commander gain up to 15% attack, and when troops are garrisoned, cavalry units' defense is increased by up to 15%. That's really balanced. We love to see balance in a garrison. And skill damage dealt is increased by 10%. So this may be really good with Jadwiga. This looks pretty good so far. It looks pretty balanced. I really do wish he had up to 20% attack and up to 20% defense, but I guess beggars can't be choosers, right? Troops led by this commander take up to 10% less normal attack damage, and when troops are garrisoned and take skill damage, they have a up to 50% chance to remove all normal debuffs from the attacker. This dispel effect can trigger once every 8 seconds. So that's pretty good. My big concern here actually is when he's being swarmed. If you can't dispel more than every 8 seconds, then if you're getting swarmed, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. And I'm not seeing really any swarm-proof skills. This one, I guess, is normal attack damage because that's you're taking normal attack damage. But we'll have to see. This is going to be interesting. I think this skill is nice, and I think it's going to counter Attila nicely. But we'll have to take a look at Pakal and Harold's skills because that's who you're going to be throwing against this. Next, cavalry units have up to 20% more health. That's what I'm talking about. And when launching a normal attack, they have a 10% chance to gain a buff that increases their normal attack damage by up to 20% for 3 seconds. This effect can trigger once every 8 seconds. So that 8-second cooldown is pretty massive. But other than that, this is looking pretty good. So far, it doesn't look like there's really much that is garrison specific. It's really only this third skill, which leads me... Oh, no, in the second. So you're going to want him in the garrison. I was trying to see if you could put him in the field, but no, it looks like you're going to want him in the garrison. So this is not bad at all. Increases normal attack damage. It looks like you may actually be able to put him with like Attila. He's got the skill damage in a garrison, or you could put him with Jadwiga. You may be able to put him with YSS. I don't see anything that is cavalry unit specific, like you're going to lose skills. You do have cavalry have more health, which is nice, but you have the same thing with Xeno YSS, and people will always put mixed in there. So this is not bad. Okay, let's take a look at our expertise here. Deals skill damage to the target, damage factor 2400, and when this commander's troops has fewer than 50% of units remaining, the skill deals an additional skill damage to up to 3 surrounding troops within a radius. That's huge. That is huge. That is really important. Jadwiga right now is not terribly swarm-proof. This skill, if he's expertise, is going to make him deal more skill damage to those surrounding troops. This, in conjunction with the normal attack, taking less normal attack damage, is a really big deal because it's going to make him a little bit more tanky. We're not seeing counterattack damage, but we are seeing a lot of debuffs on the target that they're taking damage from. So let me know what you think. I think Jan could be a good pair for Jadwiga, and of course, we will be testing them. If you haven't hit that subscribe button over there, bottom right-hand corner, hit the bell. You should, because we're definitely going to be testing these commanders. Now, we've seen all of the commander skills. Let's talk about the actual commanders in-game to see really who we can pair with. So here we are. We are in-game now, and let's look at the commanders that we got. We've got Attila. Attila is the first one I really want to look at. For the next 4 seconds, normal attacks and counterattacks of troops deal increased damage. So this is that normal attack damage, which you're also seeing in Joan. Normal attack damage is going to be a big deal. And so, I don't know. Joan does have that same buff that increases normal attack damage by up to 30% for 1 second. So you could be dealing a lot of normal attack damage with Attila between the two of these. You also get that counterattack damage bonus, which is going to make your Joan a little bit tankier. When attacking strongholds or cities, troops led by this commander deal 5% increased damage and 10% each turn to reduce an enemy garrison. So this is the one downside of Joan, is she's really targeted towards field marches. I don't see her as being a rally commander, and so you may not want to use Joan with Attila. Maybe in the field, but probably not in a rally, which is a shame. So you've got the march speed, you've got attack. You could probably run her with him. I think you probably could run her with him. This is all normal attack damage. Now, I am going to say I don't think you want to run her with Takeda as a primary. I don't necessarily think that's going to be great. And Takeda is a little old school at this point. You've got your attack bonus. You've got a little bit of healing and some defense. He could be fine as a secondary to her. I guess if you're running Attila Nevsky in the field and you need to put someone else with Joan, you could probably put Takeda with her. That could be fine. But let's look at what we're all really thinking about here. Nevsky. So Nevsky deals immense skill damage, and he has the debuff on the target when you're surrounding them. You also have Joan as a secondary who's dealing a ton of skill damage again, and is then triggering her skill as a secondary multiple times. So this is nice. You also do get that march speed and the bonus of being outside of Alliance territory. Here you see the 20% health outside of territory. On her, you see 20% march speed. So you've got a really nice balance here. I'm liking how this is shaping up. And you've got cavalry units led by this gain increased defense and deal 10% increased damage to surrounded targets. So again, if you've got a march in the field and you're swarming a target, Nevsky and Joan may be the move. Maybe the move. And when troops consist only of cavalry, skill damage is increased by 25%. Skill damage is increased by an extra 35% for 4 seconds upon casting an active skill. So I am thinking right now that Nevsky Joan is going to be the way to go. And I think this is good because right now there is not a main Nevsky march. You can see XY Nevsky, which is viable, but Nevsky Joan may actually be more useful than XY Nevsky, just because it's going to be a little bit tankier, you're going to be dealing a little bit more normal attack damage, and you're going to be just dropping absolute bombs of skill damage. So let me know, do you guys think that Joan Nevsky is going to be the pair? If you have other pairs you want me to check out, let me know in the comment section below, and when we're testing, I can break these down. Now, for Jan's pairs, right? Everyone's wondering, who should Jan be paired with? And I don't know. Let's look at Jadwiga. She deals direct damage to a target up to 15%, 1500, and troops led by this commander deal 20% increased damage. So this looks good because if Jadwiga's primary and Jan is secondary, then Jan is going to get the benefit of this up to 20% damage bonus there. So you may see Jadwiga Jan dealing tons of skill damage to whoever's attacking them in a rally. Well, on the map, you get these buffs. That's not what we care about. But when commanding the garrison or stronghold of your own city, of a stronghold or your own city, cavalry units get bonus to defense and health. So she is covering the health. So now you've got defense and you've got health and you've got attack, which is what I was really nervous about because Jan mainly has the attack and defense and it's only 15%. She is covering the rest. And so attack damage is kind of meh. In a garrison, you really want defense and health because that helps with your counterattack damage as well. This is good. This is shaping up well. Skill damage taken is reduced by up to 10%, and when commanding a garrison, cavalry units deal up to 5% damage to archers, but take 5% increased damage from infantry. That's fine. You know, I think we're talking about Pakal Herald here as the rally that's going to be going against her. I'm not too broken up about this. I think no one's going to throw an archer rally at this, so this is kind of meh. But the skill damage taken reduction of 10% is nice, and when we click through his skills here, it looks like he's dealing more skill damage, and he's debuffing the target. I don't think he has a skill damage debuff for targets, though. Doesn't look like it. Just clicking through again. So this is pretty good. This is nice and balanced. And troops led by this commander deal 10% increased skill damage, and when they take skill damage, they gain 10 rage per second for 3 seconds. So this is really good. This balances out with his skill of when we take damage, we get a certain buff. His skill has something very similar, where, you know, when launching a normal attack, it's when he takes a normal attack. They take less normal attack damage, and when they take skill damage, they have a chance to remove all normal debuffs. So this is nice. This is going to make it so you can't debuff Jadwiga. So this is looking really good to me. And for her expertise, troops led by this commander deal 10% increased damage to rally troops. And when an active skill is used, damage taken is reduced by 10% for 4 seconds. So this could be a new cavalry garrison meta. I would not be surprised to see that. Let's, just out of curiosity, let's look at Pakal here right now. I just want to see, normal attack, nothing for normal attack. 20% increased attack. Oh, but he's dispelling skills. That's fine. That's not a problem. But is he debuffing at all? Is there any debuff for him? I don't think so. Damage reduction, counterattack damage. Okay, let's look at Herald real quick, and then I will let you guys go. I know this video is running long, but I really wanted to make sure we covered everything. So this is direct damage. Damage is reduced. Increased damage. Attack. And reduce that damage. This is damage reduction. Infantry gain 10% increased attack and march speed. Yeah, so there's no debuff that you're really worrying about as Jadwiga, which is fine. And I'm not seeing anything actually about normal attack damage either, which is really neat because Jan has a skill to counter normal attack damage. So I'm wondering who they're thinking is going to be thrown in a rally against them. But if you have enjoyed, I am going to be going through and testing all of these different pairs and throwing rallies at the new commanders and testing them in the field. So hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right hand corner, and hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. I hope that you've enjoyed. Shappy out.